So I'm going to show you today how to make a Google form. And what I'm going to do is I'm starting in my Google Drive. So you need to start with a Google account. And once you get a free account and you're able to connect into Chrome with this little triangle here, you can pick the drive, which is this symbol right here. And you notice I already have a drive set up and I have files. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this Google form into a certain folder. Organization always is key. And I'm going to click this folder. Now, whatever I put into this folder and create, whether it's a Google Doc or a Google Slide or whatever, I have to make sure that the sharing settings are correct for the viewership. So I'm going to go here to the sharing centers, and I'm going to make sure I can type in anyone's address, and if they have a Google account, that'll come up. But if I was to try this, let's say I wanted, let's say Tom Short. Let's see if he comes up, and there he is, and boom, he comes right up because he has an account. Now, of course, I can change and get to my advanced settings. If I just don't want to have certain people, I'm going to change this. I want anyone on the internet can find and view, and I could change that to any setting I like. So I have it on the public on the web here, and I can hit save. So now I know that my entire folder in Google Drive has been set so that anything that I create inside of it has these settings. That's important to do because oftentimes, and I fall victim of this, I'd make some kind of form or document that my students are using and I don't have the settings set and they can't connect. So certainly it stops the momentum and connectivity that we want to have here. So in any case, we're going to make sure we have these connections, and of course, fine. I can send this to this person. He doesn't need to have that. So in any case, I'm done. All right, I'm going to send there, and I'm going to go forward here. So I'm going to cancel that, and I'm done. So now my settings are set for the entire world once they have the link, which I'd put into my Google Sites, my home base. So in any case, so I'm going to go New, and I'm going to go More, and I'm going to go Google Forms. And create in the shared folder, yes, so that has the same settings. Very important. Okay, I'm going to unclick form settings here where it says require West Hampton Beach School District to log on. Because I'm on the umbrella of the West Hampton Beach apps for Google, I automatically have this. You may or not have this box, but I want anybody to be able to get to this form, so I click that. Okay, I'm going to make a title for my form. We'll just call this Hybrid Classroom, and this will be Demo. Okay, you can put a form description here, and that will come up for people to know what to do when they get this form. Now you can be snazzy here and change your theme. There's all different ways you could make your form look nice. Not really. Basically, just for me, I just would like the basic form. So any case, I'm going to go back to editing my questions. Right there, I click there. I don't really, not into the the snazzy part of that. So my first question, it's untitled. I'm going to just put, what I like to do is put the name of the person, okay, first name. And people would say, well, why don't you go last name first? I found that students will tend to put their first name first, no matter what the title is. So I choose text, and you see there's a bunch of different options here to play with. There's paragraph text, there's multiple choice, there's check box, choose from a list if you're having some kind of questions where you have multiple. There's a scale and grid, time and date. So there's many different choices here to investigate. Very powerful. So I'll make this a required question, which means they have to answer that. And again, you could play with these advanced settings for different options, and this would be for, again, a different video to go over all these different types of forms. But again, many of these advanced or options are not necessary for getting up and getting started. So first name is done. I'm going to do last name. And no matter, and it's really important you understand that any information you're collecting as a form is going into a spreadsheet, which you could move around anyway. So because I'm doing first name and last name doesn't mean that's how it has to be gathered from a certain place, and we'll talk about that. So I'm going to go text, last name, and I will make that a required question. And then what I think is very important for validation of the person, or if I just want to quickly get back to them, or if I'm doing an assignment where I'm emailing the student back automatically through a add-on that we can see up here, emails are very important. and I make sure my students give me their email. It could be just for validation of making sure that's the person answering, or just to get back. So again, that's important. I'm choosing text, and required question is right there. And you can see that I have really the contact information that I need. And now I can add. So I'm going to add my item, and this was beautiful about this is that it's open source, meaning you can create anything you like, and you can write your own multiple choice question. You can write a question on a animation they're watching. You can write questions at 2.37 of the video of the lecture that I made for you to watch. What am I saying there? Or you could do anything here and use your creativity. You could take multiple choice questions from another source and put them in easily as multiple choice questions. So it's really, really nice to do and be able to control. And that they would say, well, I can know that I can do some of this in third-party software like Castle Learning, WebQuest. Absolutely. But this makes sure this method, by making a form, links it directly to your website. It makes it one-stop shopping. You get control of your information. So I'm just making a silly "how old are you" kind of question. You could certainly do anything you like, and I want to show you that. We can do multiple choice, okay, and I can do A, I'm 10, and then B, I'm 27, of course, C, 34, and I can do anything I like, and many choices I like too. I mean, again, open source, you can do what you need to create, okay, and required question, or none of the above and all of that. So very nice. Did I make this an required question? I have to make sure, yes, absolutely. Now, let's see if I can have an outside source do this, or use questions from an outside source. See how easy this is. So I'm going to show you how I would do this and how I'd add questions, let's say from an outside source, very simply. And again, it's about the control, and I like having it, okay, connecting. And of course, taking other people's work isn't so much creating your own content, but again, think about the fact that you're controlling it. Think about the fact that you can change it, okay? So I'm going to add an item, and here I go at some point, and I'm going to go to my source, which is a Word doc, which basically is not the one I want. So let's grab, I believe, let's see here, right here. Okay, so here's my Word doc that actually is some questions that I've gotten from a textbook. This is just basically from Campbell's. Okay, and let's say I want to use this question. So very easily I can take this question. Command C is one quick way to copy. Okay, and then of course back to my form here, and Command V. And there it is. Now what's really nice is the multiple choice. I'm going to pick that. I'm going to go back to my form, and I'm going to pick all these choices. All right, so I'm using an outside. I'm copying all the choices, and how nice is it that I can just click on the first choice. Command V is basically, I'm using a Mac shortcut, but you just paste it and all the choices went right there. Okay, I think anyway. I'm going to hit required question. Let's see what we have here, and there you go. So I quickly made that. Now I could change this, change it around, but as you can see, I can use the outside sources very easily to do that. Probably want to make that question too. Okay, and there it is. And again, you may say, well, I don't want to do multiple choice. And again, there's different ways to do business here. I can certainly make this question a paragraph text where they're adding, an opinion, or writing a small explanation, or any kind of explanation, or an essay. So I'm not locked into that, but there's different ways to grade. Once it's recorded, you can just click these, and basically my form is done. Okay, it saves automatically. All right, and now if I want to go back to, let's say, one of my, let's say, websites. This is my current website for APBio. I would say I'd post it here. I'd go in my Google Sites. How fast is this? Insert. I'm going to go to Drive, and I'm going to go to Form, and look how nice the form is right there. Okay, the last form I just made. So I click it, select. Do I want a border around it? I don't need that. I want it to be a certain width. I've set mine to 800, so there it is. And I hit save, and I just center it, hit save for the Google Sites, and I've got my form posted. So there it is. Now, what's nice about this is that when I go back to my hybrid form, okay, that's not where I wanted to go. When I go back to my hybrid form right here, okay, where I was building it, okay, students right now in real time, as you can see, can clearly connect to this, but I can view my responses right away. And as I do that, I can see that no one has entered them. Now, if I was to have this on at home, as people were responding, I would see the timestamp of them going right away. So you can see all the information is right here, and you'd build a website. Now, what's nice about this is I can actually grade this in real time by using these add-ons, and these are the ones I use predominantly: Autocrat, Doctopus, and Flubaroo, and I've talked about them in different parts of my presentation. But that'll be for a different. So now it's building a spreadsheet in real time, and I can see exactly when in live format when students fill that in, what time they did it, and what their answers are, and I can start monitoring their work right away. Connectivity. I can give them an email back if they're totally off base on some of what they're doing. I can also grade it and have it graded immediately back to them, meaning in Flubaroo you can actually, if it's multiple choice, you can actually, once they've submitted their assignment, they can actually get a grade back immediately. So that's pretty cool and pretty powerful connectivity. So if I see this form, and let's just add some information. So let's go back to where I embedded it into my website, and let's add something. So put my name in, and email, how old am I? Well, I think that I'm like that age here. 2, okay, I'm not even gonna look at the answer here. Submit, and then I'll submit the form. Tells me that I have, okay. And if we've done this correctly, if everything's interconnected, we go to our live form, okay? And you can see that right there in the spreadsheet that's been built, there's my information. Now, if we go back to our Google Drive, you'll notice that this hybrid demo form is listed, and right above it is the responses. So you notice when we made the form, a responses spreadsheet was made automatically, and that's a really, again, powerful thing, and it builds automatically. And just again, make sure you're in the right folder, your settings, and you can see how easy it is to embed these and use them. And of course, my next set of videos will be talking about the add-ons that you can actually gather this information and make sense of it and see how I can grade these responses, because it's tough to grade in this format. You have your information, what can I do with it? Well, the different add-ons like Flubaroo is great for multiple choice, and even they're able now to take teacher responses back for things that aren't multiple choice. But again, I can actually use this one to grade in real time if I want, sending them a key or not. And then of course, if I want to take these responses and I want to shoot them out to a document for every line and every student, I can print them and grade them and hand them back as well. Autocrat's really nice. And then Doctopus is a terrific, again, another video on its own that I'll produce that'll talk about how to make essentially a Google Classroom for each and every single activity that you want to do and have kids interconnected either individually or by groups. And I have a couple going right now that I could show you. But in any case, I hope that helped. Okay, a little introduction about how powerful and how fast this can work and gather information. Again, also, the idea of these add-ons make life really easy. What good is having any of these things if you can't, gather data and grade them quickly? But this is the first step of connecting with your students beyond the Google Sites and gathering data through forms. One of my most important ways I get to students information or connect them from the classroom and beyond.